Today, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Hobby Lobby. Now, the decision was handed down earlier today with 5 male justices ruling in favor of allowing corporations to be able to block paying for their employees' contraception coverage if it violates their religious beliefs. Now, I want to get to the irony of the fact that all 5 male justices ruled in favor of Hobby Lobby, but first I want to address one of the arguments made by Justice Kennedy that kind of irked me. Now, he had asked, during deliberations, why President Obama allowed certain institutions to be exempt from the contraception mandate if it was so important to public health, which it is, and argued that it must have been because the health coverage was not all that important. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, Obama didn't think it was important, so I guess I don't either. That's Justice Kennedy. Now let's look at the facts on that, shall we? President Obama exempted religious organizations to appease crazy religious fundamentalists that think like things like an IUD and the Plan B pill are somehow equal to abortion. Now that assumption, of course, isn't even based on real science. It's actually based on a completely unscientific belief, religious belief, that life begins at conception and that a clump of cells is pretty much the same and has just as much rights as a fully formed human being. That is not at all scientific. So, based on that, the president decided he would try to be reasonable and appease these people who, ironically, would never agree with him and actually hate him. But, surprise, surprise, of course, President Obama tries to reach out, and it's not enough. It's never enough. You give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. And that's exactly what they did. So, based on the president doing what he always does and trying to compromise with those same people who do hate him, Justice Kennedy gets the impression that women's contraceptive coverage was just not that important. Despite the fact that of the numerous non-sex related benefits from contraception and the fact that 58% of women take contraception for non-sex issues, for medical issues. Yes, it's actually used to prevent medical problems or to treat medical issues. Also, despite the fact that contraception actually costs less than raising children, it costs society less, it costs people less, it costs everybody less. Despite all of that, it was just not that important. But look, let's get to the truth of it, okay? Today's ruling really isn't even about any of that. It's not about religious freedom. It was really about the rights of corporations. Now, because of this ruling, your boss, if you're a woman, can flat out refuse to cover your contraception if they have a religious objection to it. I don't believe in contraception. That means that you're not going to get it. That means I'm going to force the decision for you, despite whatever you believe. My belief is what matters the most, because I'm the boss, because I'm the corporation you work for, and you don't have a choice. Since when did a for-profit corporation become a religious institution? Or better yet, when did a for-profit corporation become an entity with its own religious rights? What about the beliefs of the employees? Look, it's not like the mandate would force those employees to take the contraception. No, it would be an option, as in it's her option. Her option to do whatever she wants with her body. It shouldn't be any of your business. But now it is. And now it's her employer's option. And that to me sets a really, really bad precedent. Corporations are now people with both speech and religious rights. At what point is a corporation now more human than an actual human? To be honest, I don't think we're too far off from someone actually saying that. Like a corporation is a better person than an actual person. We're pretty close. So one more thing. I mentioned earlier that all the justices that ruled in favor of Hobby Lobby were men. Old men. Ever notice that it always seems to be old men making the healthcare decisions for women? Or actually talking about the choices of women. Where are the women? Why aren't women allowed to make those decisions? Why is it always dominated by old men? Let's look at the same situation on the other foot. Let's talk about, I don't know, boner pills. They don't debate Viagra, do they? What about Cialis? That's completely reproductive, right? But it's for fun. Well, Hobby Lobby, they cover that shit. Hobby Lobby has no problem paying for male sexcapades. But when it comes to, women and their health issues and preventing unplanned pregnancy, that's where they draw the line. Look, this isn't about protecting religious liberty like they claim. This is forcing your religious beliefs, if you're a corporation, on your employees and using their jobs as a ransom. Hey, need this job? You're going to have to follow my religious beliefs. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are. My beliefs are what matter more than yours. Now, Justice Ginsburg actually wrote a scathing dissent pointing out just that. She wrote, "The exemption sought by Hobby Lobby and Conestoga, the other company in the suit, would deny legions of women who do not hold their employers' beliefs access to contraceptive coverage." She also writes, "Religious organizations exist to foster the interests of persons subscribing to the same religious faith. Not so for for-profit corporations. Workers who sustain the operations of those corporations commonly are not drawn from one religious community." So the court's saying, hey, you know what? It's okay for this corporation to pass down its own religious edicts to people who don't subscribe to that same faith. So if you're, and it doesn't even have to be different faiths. It doesn't even have to be like, oh, I've got a Muslim woman working for me. Well, too bad. I'm going to make her do that too. Which, by the way, ironically, the fundamentalist Muslims absolutely agree with this ruling. Kind of interesting. A little bit of irony in there. But anyway, for example, there's Catholics. There's a lot of Catholics that are okay with contraception. I think somewhere around 80 to 90% of Catholic women take contraceptive birth control and think it's fantastic. So there's a very, very small segment of the population that believes this. The family that controls Hobby Lobby they're Mennonites. So they take things very seriously, but they're a very, very small sect of Christianity. And now they're making rules for the other denominations. It's insanity. And look, most people don't hold those same beliefs about contraception. Most people don't hold these same beliefs that the Mennonites do about contraception. Most people don't agree with the Hobby Lobby. There was a Reuters Ipsos poll that was released on Sunday that showed that 53% of people disagree with Hobby Lobby, with their position on this. 35% did agree. Only 35%. Now that means that 35% of people think that corporations should be able to pick and choose contraceptive coverage for you under your health plan. But it could go further. Like I mentioned, this sets a super bad precedent. Ginsburg writes, "Would the exemption extend to employers with religiously grounded objections to blood transfusions?" The example is Jehovah's Witnesses, antidepressants, Scientologists, medications derived from pigs, including anesthesia, IV fluids, and pills coated with gelatin. That would affect, of course, certain Muslim, Jewish, and Hindu groups, and vaccinations. She completes that thought by writing, there's not much help there for lower courts bound by today's decision. Exactly. And that's where the huge problem is where does it stop? Where's the line? What is a closely held religious belief? And how should that apply to everyone else? And there you go. In a nutshell, this decision affirms that corporations are people with not only speech but religious rights. That they have the power to decide for you what medical coverage you get. That your employer's beliefs matter more than your own personal beliefs and choices. And that if you as an employer want to deny coverage to something, all you need to do is claim a religious objection to it. This is a terrible decision by a corporate-controlled, right-wing Supreme Court. And as Justice Ginsburg wrote, the court, I fear, has ventured into a minefield. I hope it doesn't blow up in our faces.